In this video, we'll go through the start page and the sheets within the Tableau interface. Tableau is made of four major components. You have data. The data feeds into a sheet. The sheet creates a view which can go on a dashboard, and the dashboards can then go into stories. So we're going to start by opening the program. If you open up Tableau 2018.1, this is exactly what you'll see. There are three segments or three components to this. You can connect to a data source, to a file, server, save data source. You can open an existing workbook or a sample workbook. In our view, we'll be looking at this one right here. Or you can discover Tableau-related training and content, including like the Viz of the Week, and it'll also tell you when you can upgrade to a new version. For this iteration, we're going to connect directly to the sheet to see what it looks like without any data. So go ahead and select that button at the top. It looks like little plus signs. And this is what you'll see. You see that you have a data pane right here. You've got dimensions and measures. You've got these little boxes here. I don't know what any of these do at this point. We'll see what they do when we open up another worksheet, the workbook with Sample Superstore dashboards on it. So let's look at it with data. So this is the Sample Superstore dashboards, and you can see that you have all of these objects. You have data sources, dimensions, measures, sets, parameters, a pages shelf, filter shelf, a marks card, the legend, column shelf, rows shelf, a view, pills, and marks. And we'll talk about each one of those very briefly. You see you have a data source up here at the top, left-hand side, and we'll start with that. It shows where all the data connections are in the workbook. I'm going to kind of go through these fairly fast, and we'll be going over them more in depth as the day goes on. Dimensions, you can see behind the object here. You can see it right here on the left-hand side of the screen. These fields come from your data source, but you can add calculated fields to add more data or to segment your data in different ways. Dimensions are ways that you can categorize your data. So you want to view something by. And measures, right underneath that, are what you want to aggregate. So most of the time, the measures are going to be continuous, or you'll think that they're additive. You can add things to them, like sales is something that you can aggregate. Now, sets are not in your data when you connect to it. The developer creates sets and parameters. A set is a way to group things on a screen together. Think of trying to have a lot of filters on an Excel workbook in one view. You've got 5 different columns filtered out every time you go and look at it. A set is something where you can set that, and you can set it dynamically. So even if you don't have the data yet, it'll still filter it out. We'll go through all that. I'm getting in the weeds. I get just too excited. And parameters are a way that the developer can build in some data or some choices for the user to make. And parameters differ from filters because they can operate across data sources. Your pages shelf at the top actually allows you to add a sort of animation to the view. So if you hit play right here on the underside, if you hit play right here, then you'll see your data move from January to February to March, and it kind of animates these little marks in the sheet. A filter shelf is where all of the fields that you've filtered the view by is displayed. And when you look, this piece here, the little icon here for a database, means that the order date is filtered across the entire data set. This little two boxes right here beside region mean that it's actually filtered just on specific regions. Under that, you have the most misunderstood piece, the marks card. Each square within this area is called a marks card. Excuse me. You have you can encode colors, sizes, labels, shapes, level of detail, and tooltip information here in the marks card. It's very powerful, and we'll be working with that quite a bit. You can see here you've got color mark, you've got your size marks card, label marks card, tooltip, and detail. And depending on what you've selected here, this is a circle chart for now, but if we selected a line graph, then we would see something called path here. And if we selected something, a shape, then we would see an object where we can customize the shape. Under the marks cards, there's a legend that's available if you've put something on a marks card. Where'd it go? Like you put your color on a marks card, so you get the legend for colors. If you've also put something on a shape, on the size, then you'll also have legends for the shapes and sizes down below. And the column shelf up at the top is where fields, you'll place fields here to show in the columns. You can see that segment is in the columns, so that actually shows up here at the top. And rows, you can gather, is fields placed here will show on the rows, like category and subcategory. They're on each row. So a view is the entire area that you're displaying the visualization in. Pills are what happens. It's a slang term of when you drag a field into the view, whether it's on a filter, a page, the columns or rows, it has this oblong shape, so it looks like a pill, and that's what we call them. You have green pills and blue pills. Your green pills are continuous fields, and your blue pills are discrete fields. Then you have marks. Marks are the rows of your data. Marks are your data. So every row in your data set is a mark. And so the smallest level of detail that you have on your marks card, which are within your data set, which is right here, is what you're looking at this by. So we have a mark for every product name, category, segment, and subcategory. To view the number of marks that are on the sheet, you can view the bottom left-hand side of the workbook. You see, down here it's actually difficult to see it. There it is, 366 marks, 17 rows by 3 columns.